Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so we have over here Kane and Creighton that we're doing analysis for. So just pulling ourselves into here. I know that we've talked about this before, but it's always good to see yourself on video and do a little bit of analysis here. So start off with Kane. So these are your strokes, looking at the path of your top hand. Looking here, unfortunately, this evening it got a little bit dark a little early, so the film isn't really that good in Connie Dunn's pictures. So that's pretty much the shape of your top hand track there. So we'll do again, come through, and then push through. Right. So good shape. What we would probably want to do is eliminate or minimize the amount of forward motion that we have here. We want to have a little bit smaller of a, like, I guess, crescent moon. And then so yeah, there's a lot of different things, and I think what's happening is because you're entering in, and so I'll show it over here. This here is where we are going through it. This is where you're setting up, okay? So right here, this is your setup. But what's happening is when you're starting to pull back, right here, starting to pull back here, this is when you hit the water. So I got this little pink line here where you're actually set up, and then the second green line here, that's where you're actually hitting the water. And yeah, like I said, again, it's not super accurate, but here we go. So pink is where you're actually setting up right here. This looks like a really good angle. And then what's happening is you're starting to pull, and then push that top arm. See how this top arm started at this dot, and then now it's moving over here. So want to try to see if we can get this to not push down, or when you're setting up at this pink position here, get closer to the water. So once you start pulling this, or once you start pushing, your paddle will be in the water by then. So so you go here, pushing down, that's where you hit the water, and then coming through, and then right about here or here is where your paddle is fully submerged. So I couldn't really tell, it's either this one or this one. So either way, I mean, it's not bad. We have about a 90-degree angle here, but if we can try to get a little bit of a forward angle, see how your bottom elbow starts to bend. This is where a lot of your power comes from. I'm seeing a lot of bend here on this bottom arm here. So boom, boom, and then so a lot of the power is coming right now. Right when we're pulling the canoe down slightly. Yeah, so see a lot of the power is coming over here and then exiting right about here. So by then your bottom arm is bent already, but you're using your arm to pull the canoe rather than using your body. So I think you can probably sit up a little bit more towards the end of the stroke. See how, let's compare you and Rahman here. So Rahman is using his body, got the rotation to sit up. You can probably sit up a little bit more towards the end of the stroke. And then there you go, now you're out of the water here. So a lot of movement with that top arm. You could probably eliminate some of it. So like I was saying, back to this section here, is a lot of this forward movement is because we're not burying our blade right at the beginning. So if you're able to get from this position here down into the water without pulling, right? So you see that, so we've got a couple of little frames here that you're starting to pull when the paddle's still in the air, and then this is where you hit the water. And then again, coming down right about here or here is where it's fully submerged. We'll get another better video later, but yeah, that's one of these two is where you're fully submerged. And then, as we can see, there's a bit of a negative angle here, so we want to try to straighten this out. So I wanted to kind of show you guys Creighton's here as well. So Creighton, he's got the super positive angle, super long arms. His track is a little tighter. See how the little difference there is. Track is tighter. Right at the end, it just kind of peaks out here, and then he's done and comes straight back up. And then for yours, it's kind of like pulling. And the reason why I think it's pulling is because we have like this kind of negative angle here. So Ramon's up here, Freddie's up here, and then we're over here, Kane. You know, your angle's back about here, whereas Ramon's is in the front, Freddie's is in the front. A little bit strange angles for everybody here. So once we go through, the reason why you're coming from here all the way back from this position where my mouse is, all the way back here with your top arm, is because we had kind of a quote unquote late start on that stroke. And so you're having to pull back, pull back, pull back in order to stay in the water as long as everybody else. So if you can start your stroke in the water where your top arm is at the very top here. Oops. Let's poke through. If you can get in the water right here, if you can hit the water there, then we eliminate this forward motion without having anything really. You know, we're pulling a lot. And then lastly is that bottom arm. If we can keep that thing straight, that'll give you a lot more power and use your body a lot more rather than your arms. So a couple of good things. I mean, I know there's a lot of power there, Kane, and it works, definitely works in the one man because you were beating me the other day on Sunday. Six man a little different. Want to try to get everyone aligned here, and then towards the end it's okay to bend, but you're working on the bend throughout the stroke here. So we'll take a look at full speed. Take a look. Okay, those are all the different things. Oh, let's speed it up. As you can see, oh, let's check this side. Yeah, this side looks pretty solid. I think it's your left side a little bit. Let's check again. This one. Okay, so setting up good angle, right? A really good angle here. And then starting to pull before. I know you have good timing, so these guys are right about hitting the water. And then this is where you're hitting the water. So you can see maybe, yeah, right about here is where you hit the water. And then, so everyone else taking a look at Ramon's paddle here, he's fully buried there. So this is where you're fully buried, right about here. So again, want to make sure that we're trying to bury it up in the front as much as possible, as best as we can. Having that forward positive angle once the paddle is in the water fully submerged. And then just go through here. Yeah, I was taking a look at a couple of my videos too, and it's funny, when I'm sitting in like 4 or 5, I use a lot of my bottom arm. I'm like kind of pulling, and I got a little bit of the back end of the stroke. But then when I'm in 1 and 2, I'm actually more up front. So I don't know if that's like a perception thing. Yeah, it's something that I noticed in a couple of my videos that I was watching of myself here. So with that said, looks good. I'll do a separate one for Creighton here. So since we're going over time here, yeah. So see that bottom arm. Let's try to see if we can straighten that thing out so we can get a little bit more of a positive angle, and then work on sitting up through the stroke. Anyway, let me know if you have questions. Right on, bud.